If a rapper hasn't been accused of selling their soul to the devil, are they even a rapper? Kendrick Lamar is one such artist who's been a part of all these theories. And with every song release, the evidence keeps on mounting. So, is he really a part of some evil cult? Has the rapper sold his soul to the devil? What's the deeper meaning behind his songs? Join us as we take a look at the dark side of Kendrick Lamar. You must understand Kendrick's beliefs in order to understand who he is. We're going to be analyzing the strong religious influences on his music and the life of the most outlandish new superstar in hip-hop. No rapper who's achieved success in popular music is more outspoken about his personal religious convictions than Lamar, with the exception of Kanye West. Lamar has frequently infused solemn soliloquies of navigating the gang culture that gave birth to him with Christian themes of good and evil, as well as the redemptive power of Jesus Christ, even though he's never precisely matched the description of what would typically be considered Christian hip-hop. Lamar's sporadic attempts to live out his faith have always been apparent in his music. He likes to use songs as parables, showing how the grace of a higher force can only soften the horror of violence and the mindless debasement of humanity. On an unreleased song titled Jesus Saves, Lamar weaves a story about the daily scourge of the inner city: guns, homelessness, fatherlessness, unemployment, and incarceration, and praises God for sparing him from his peers' fate despite being an unrepentant sinner, as he repeatedly sings the chorus, "I don't know why he keeps blessing me," with a crackling voice. Contrary to the majority of Christian musicians with a conventional gospel background, such as Kirk Franklin or Stevens Curtis Chapman, Lamar has never limited his scope to a discussion of matters of holiness. He doesn't frequent strip clubs like Drake or smoke like Lil Wayne, and he's been in a monogamous relationship since before he became well known, which is quite rare for a rapper of his stature. But rather than urging others to live moral lives, he openly discusses his own inner conflicts and those of the individuals he grew up with while using terminology used by transgressors. Now, even though Kendrick Lamar's religiosity has received a lot of attention, his portrayal of the devil is remarkably intricate and consistent. This is a topic that's too rigid for many to discuss, but Lamar is careful in how he explains Satan's impact on the world, and his description in no way amounts to a rehash of any church teaching. Stick around to find out what that's about. Nearly a half millennium after the purported death of Faust, the legend who sold his soul to the devil in exchange for money and fame, Kendrick's depiction of the devil shares many characteristics with the Satan found in the Faustian myth. She goes by the name Lucy, which is short for Lucifer, and she's always making Kendrick tempting offers in an effort to lure him away from his life of virtue. The To Pimp a Butterfly song, For Sale, interlude contains the most of Lucy that we've ever heard. In that song, Lucy goes up to Kendrick at the mall and declares that she wants him before presenting him with numerous lavish proposals. Similar to the devil in the Faustian mythology, Kendrick's Lucy has a crew who handle most of the grubby work. The white businessman and the seductress, the agents of passion and greed, are the two characters who appear most frequently in his discography. Two crucial indicators are shown even in the song that features Lucy's direct speech: the repeated phrase, "I want you," and Lucy's parting words, "Sign this contract." Doesn't that sound really shady to you guys? Through his songs, he tells a story of his innate fallibility as a human being with worldly interests and how these characteristics have a corrupting effect on him. Kendrick is told by Lucy and her agents that he can get over this weakness that results from his smallness. With her support, she assures him he can be more than he is. So does he take the offer? Every time this guy releases an album, all hell breaks loose. A slight pun intended. In 2017, when Kendrick Lamar's album Damn was released, there was a whole lot for Illuminati believers to quote-unquote find with the release. The M appears directly over Lamar's head on the album cover, resembling devil horns. Okay, that's a little bit of a reach. Conspiracy theorists assert that while Fear and Duckworth have passages that sound like gibberish, they contain a secret message that may be heard when played backwards. This sounds a lot like that Missy Elliott Work It song, right? Then, Lamar released a deluxe edition of the album with the track listing simply reversed, supporting the theory that the record secretly flows flawlessly both forwards and backwards. Following the release of Damn, one of the most well-liked fan theories to emerge predicted that Lamar's Good Friday album release would be followed by an Easter Sunday album release. According to the hypothesis, Kendrick released his album on Good Friday in a nod to the biblical account of Jesus Christ's resurrection. In keeping with the religious resurrection theory, a Reddit user commented on the track list for the album Damn. He pointed out that when you rearrange the last letter of some of the album's songs, they spell out the phrase, "Earth led to death." Other theorists speculated the words also spelled out, "Death for Leader." They continued to look for even more signs, like on Humble. Kendrick crucifies rappers and predicted that on Easter Sunday, the day that Jesus rose from the dead, Lamar will release a second album, this one called Nation, addressing more current political and social topics. The two albums were said to serve as Lamar's attempt to revive the rap game in addition to the political overtones of Nation. And when the album titles are combined, they become Damnation, which refers to sending someone to hell. Kendrick confirmed that the album is meant to be played backwards because it plays like a full story in even better rhythm. Now, we done heard about this thing about songs playing backwards and having a different meaning, haven't we? The rabbit hole keeps getting deeper. It appears that Kendrick himself hid certain hints throughout the album. Christian concepts like the Immaculate Conception, prayer, and the apocalypse are explored in Damn, along with stories of significant events in Kendrick's life. Oh, and did you catch that the album's opening song, Blood, ends with a gunshot, and the album's last tune, Duckworth, also includes a gunshot in reversed audio? Hip-hop has always expressed the difficulties of daily life, as well as the battle to get out of difficult situations and fight the oppressive systems that are currently in place. So, the sly reference of a hidden society, one that exists to control the world and choose what and who can succeed, speaks to those notions. But as the 21st century progressed, rappers also started to come under fire for allegedly being a member of the quote-unquote New World Order. Kendrick Lamar isn't the only musician who's believed to cross to the other side. You'd be surprised by the names you'd find. But where did it all start? If we look back, the first instance of a musician selling his soul in exchange for fame leads us to blues musician Robert Johnson. Many quote-unquote witness accounts from individuals who'd watched the young man play would say that they've never heard a guitar player play with such finesse. So clearly, he must have received these talents from someone, right? Someone extraordinary? What other way could you explain his out-of-this-world skills? The most well-known of these is the tale of how he traveled to the crossroads and struck a deal with the devil. The deal was simple. In exchange for amazing guitar talents, he'd give away his mortal soul. But where does that originate? Again, nobody is truly certain. However, Johnson wrote at least 2 songs that specifically address supernatural themes, so it's highly likely that people heard him perform and then looked for hints in his songs. Coming back to Lamar, in his song For Sale, he talks about the devil selling his soul and resisting it. Then, the second song on Kendrick Lamar's 2022 album, Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers, is titled N95, as in the N95 mask used to stop COVID-19 spread. In the song, Kendrick Lamar delves deeper into more significant issues in the quote-unquote New World. Now, this could just be referring to the new normal during the pandemic, but there are many people who link it to this New World Order. We can pinpoint one thing from all of this. When Kendrick succumbs to Lucy's satanic ways, he walks himself back to his rightful position by turning to God. He believes he's resisting the devil's temptation as long as he continually renews his desire to behave in God's service rather than his own. Kendrick, unlike Faust, is prepared to continue fighting this struggle because his soul ain't for sale. I heard that, Kendrick. And the conspiracy theorists need to just stop with all of this mess. Have you heard this one? Kendrick Lamar has 2 eyes. You know who else has 2 eyes? The devil. Okay, stop it. Just stop it. That's all for today. Thanks for watching.